what's going on? Welcome to the channel. I'm Deborah. This is Purusha Intuitive, and we are doing our weekly astrology reading. So exciting. So this reading is for March 6th through the 12th. Probably the most notable thing happening this week is we have a full moon in Virgo. It's actually a pretty nice energy. Usually full moons have a tendency to heighten feeling, emotion, a lot of what's happening around us in our environment, within ourselves, etc. So they can be tricky to navigate in terms of that. But there are some favorable aspects involved. I am totally gonna do a full moon video probably after this one, so check that out. It will be a little bit more in depth and detail. I kind of just want to get the rundown for what's going to be happening overall for the week. So we're about midway through Pisces season. That means that we're on the brink of closing out another zodiac year. Aries season starting March 20th, I believe, is going to be the beginning, a new year, new cycle, new opportunities to kind of invest in our life, in ourselves in a different way. So that is really exciting. One of the main things about Pisces energy is it really heightens a lot of the emotion already, just like I was talking about with that full moon energy. It's not good, bad, right, or wrong. You could just be experiencing like very vivid dreaming, picking up a lot of, emotions, feelings in your environment, people that you're dealing with, etc. Picking up those in between the lines energies, which can be fun or not, right? Depending on our relationship with that person. So just keep in mind that with the sensory intuitive component, there is this element of illusion that can play a role. And with that full moon, it's going to heighten even more so. And it's also aspected to Uranus energy, which is all about fighting for the little man. It's revolutionary, it's rebellious. It actually rules Aquarius and the 11th house, So places that we kind of hope and wish things will be different, especially when it comes to our relationships. And those hopes and desires are definitely going to be in focus over this next week. They're really going to be magnified. So just be mindful and aware of that. The most notable, like I mentioned, the sun is positively aspecting Uranus. So it's good for ourselves as individuals because it does really help us to stand strong in our own identity and our own belief system. It's just going to be a little bit challenging if we're not seeing things clearly about another person or individual. Obviously, if we have latent proof, that's one thing, but be really conscious of your judgments, where they fall. Maybe really ask spirit or whomever for that confirmation, just so that you're not misinterpreting a situation. Because on March 10th, Venus and Mars will be positively aspected, and this really gives a harmonious component to that yin and yang energy. I'm going to take it back. Oh, I did want to touch on two things too. This isn't happening towards the end of the month, March 22nd. Saturn actually moves into Pisces. So that is going to add another layer, a deeper layer, even though we will be moving out of Pisces season at that point. With Saturn in Pisces, it usually stays in signs for about 2.5 years. It's really going to force us to work on our relationship with ourself, and more specifically our spiritual self. So the places that we, are intuitive, that we do pick up messages that are being sent to us, etc., whether or not we're actually going to be, using those as tools to learn and grow, versus getting sucked into the emotion, the disappointment, the chaos. Pisces is very much that energy, like just as the symbol shows, one fish is going up, one fish is going down. So it's kind of that dichotomy of, with its energy, we can totally ascend to the spiritual ethers, really connecting with the finest relative value that's present in life, or we can go down, we can go down to the depths, which really kind of brings up a lot of fears, anxieties, limitations, things where we kind of let the dark overshadow the light, so to speak. And then that's also going to be magnified with Pluto moving into Aquarius. So this is happening March 24th, I believe. And this kind of, again, it magnifies that rebellious component. We want to be careful. Like, I love Aquarian energy. It marches to the beat of its own drum. It's unique. It's, inventive and kind of genius in a lot of ways. But we almost want to make sure that that doesn't fall under that umbrella of arrogance or ignorance, We want to be really conscious about who and what we're giving our time and energy to. And with Pluto in Aquarius, it's going to help us make changes that are a little bit more hopeful and wish fulfillment oriented, versus kind of like keeping up with the Joneses, right? So like I mentioned, this week, the energy isn't like, it's not the heaviest. I feel like there is a little bit of struggle and resistance around how we're communicating, what we're feeling emotionally about certain situations, and then how it is actually showing up, or how in our day-to-day life and how we're communicating it to others. Because we really want to see movement in the direction that we have taken action, right? So Mars is in Gemini. It's kind of like we want to keep pushing forward. But what's limiting us right now is the duality. I've been talking about that a lot throughout our videos, if you've been keeping track of, and that's kind of where the resistance is. Like, we might be learning our lessons, we might get it, at a higher level, why things are showing up in the way that they are. But it still doesn't mean we don't want to overcome and keep moving forward. It just almost feels like it's like thing after thing keeps coming into play. Also, Jupiter is conjunct with Chiron. So that's talking about the more and it's in Aries, which is really beautiful. So it's like the more that we put the time, the energy, the effort into making the changes that are right for us when it comes to our fortune, our abundance, what makes us feel big and expansive, the better it's going to go for us. There's a lot of planets, and well, there's not a lot of planets, but a lot of points, like Black Moon Lilith is conjunct to the moon. So she's going to bring out that element of trickery, especially as it plays onto our Oh, I'm sorry, she's not. It's, my bad. It's Black Moon Lilith is square to the North Node. So that kind of goes back into that, what I was talking about with Chiron and Jupiter. With Black Moon Lilith square to the North Node, she's going to bring in that trickery element. Like, are you really, like, it's almost like she's going to challenge us, right? Like, are you sure? Are you really sure you've healed? Are you sure you're getting better? Kind of like, I almost hear it in like a mockery sort of way. We really have to make sure that we are asking for what we want and then putting the work into it, or it's not going to change. We can't just throw out some hopeful wish fulfillment, cross our fingers and hope it happens. You know, really, it generally doesn't move that way. You know, there are those for instances where manifestation just drops in your lap, but this is not one of them, because the North Node and Chiron as well, they really kind of talk about our evolution and our growth as spiritual beings. Chiron is the wound healer. It bridges the gap between the physical and the spiritual. And the North Node is the karma, like we're working out the karma from the South Node, and the North Node is what we aspire to implement. So the person that we really want to evolve into, and that's going to be different for everybody. There's no right or wrong within that. So as I mentioned, we'll have that full moon. There is some tension. I'll do a video around it. Again, that Black Moon Lilith North Node, or yeah. Sorry guys, I'm like, the message is hard to get out today apparently. That is a little bit of a conflicting energy. Obviously, anytime the sun is in opposition to the moon, that creates tension, and we still have that opposition with the moon and Mercury. Just meaning, be mindful with your words, the way you communicate. Things can definitely be misinterpreted, especially if you're talking with someone about an emotionally sensitive topic. Try to be as clear, upfront, and honest, diplomatic as possible. Like I said, that Uranian energy really kind of helps with, I feel like this is kind of like, it's not just about like rebelling against like bad people or something like that. It's more about you standing in your power and fighting for yourself in a way that is helpful and articulate to the whole of whatever's happening, you know, in your world. That's going to make things a lot smoother. You're not going to see the movement that you want to see this week. Mars ends up becoming square to the sun and the moon, making some resistance. Again, Mars, it's about to leave Gemini, but we have a little bit of time yet. You know, I think the best, like I talked about, as we move towards the end of the week, we're going to find that harmonious aspect between Venus and Mars. So that's really going to help soften our energy, right? The places that we're really determined to make things happen, to see things evolve, etc. The Venus is going to add the softness that we need. Maybe just to like slow our roll a little bit, become a little bit more patient. Obviously, there's so much beauty in patience, right? We can become too lazy for sure, but there's also this value of not trying to force things ahead, especially right now, because a lot of the work that we're doing is with our own internal self and our emotions. Yeah, people around us might be triggering things, but it really is this value of looking back into ourself and saying, well, why is this happening in my life? Like, what are the places that I need to empower myself a little bit more, show up a little differently, communicate a little bit better, etc. And like I mentioned, as the week progresses, that energy is going to get a little bit easier. And like I said, if we're actually doing the work, we're going to be rewarded, because Jupiter is conjunct to Chiron, like I said. That can, oops, sorry about that. That continues to maintain, you know, throughout the week. That's, to me, that's kind of like the silver lining right there. You know, it is going to be rewarded. It's just clinging on to that and knowing that, even though there might be some resistance, you know, it's remembering that the resistance is actually a benefit, because it shows us, the places we need to switch up maybe our own behavior, thoughts, or actions, Or maybe we need to change up our environment, right? Like the things that aren't working around us that keep happening over and over and over again. And it's like, when is enough enough? Uranian energy is really going to give us the strength to be able to overcome all that stuff. The other beautiful aspect about the full moon being in Virgo is it's very grounding. It's going to help ground all that water, emotional energy that we've been experiencing lately. You know, so I would actually even encourage you to set aside extra time to relax, to do a little more self-care. Yeah, Gemini just popped out, you know, like taking a step back, knowing when you're starting to get triggered or something feels off, you just need to step away, right? For some time, do a little bit of self-reflection, find the value, tune into what spirit is saying to you. With that ruler of Pisces, it's going to be very harmonious for us to tap into the spirit world. That's what I love about this season. It can be a little bit, you know, especially if you are a sensitive person, more in tune, it can be a little jarring, right? Because life is messy. People are crazy, for lack of a better term. Yeah. But it's that craziness actually helps us expand and grow towards our abundance. I love that. Jupiter is ruled by Pisces as well, or rules Pisces and Sagittarian energy. So as we close out the week, you know, we're moving into a waning gibbous. So it's about, again, releasing, using the moon cycles to kind of, you know, work harmoniously with whatever you have going on in your world. Observing the things that do not work and saying, you know, I need to either cut this out or minimize my engagement with this thing. You know, there needs to be a little bit more balance coming into play. It's hard because it is playing on our emotions in a big way, not just because of being in Pisces, but also the moon is harshly aspected to Uranus, the North Node, and Black Moon Lilith as the week closes out next Sunday. So it's just going to make it feel kind of icky. I mean, that's the best way to say it. The more we can, you know, with Venus being in Aries, again, just emphasizing self-care. You know, that I found in my own life, that is what gives us the energy, the stability to navigate all the BS. You know, we can't escape that, apparently. Wah wah. I found that out the hard way over this past year. You can't escape it, you know. You just got to roll with the punches, right? And that's the best way we can live, you know. Wah, wah. That is a Debbie Downer moment. I will own that right there 100%. But life can be that way, you know. Aries, yeah, I love this. Just really focus on that empowerment for yourself. Like I said, be careful with that Mars energy. It rules Aries. Just like we were talking about, being patient, like tempering it with that Venus of being patient, listening, staying in tune with your surroundings, with what's happening, not just forcing the agenda because you can. It's only going to lead to that rebellion, right? Uranian energy, in my opinion, well, I mean, I think with all things it has the light and the shadow. But especially for Uranus, it's like something that can like be amazing and transformative, and it's something that can be like, milk was a bad choice, right? Like that it can also be a very tumultuous energy if it's not handled appropriately. It's amazing to want to grow and expand and create your utopia. You also have to check in and see at what lengths are you willing to do it. And especially if there's other people at play. This is the final stages of this, right? Like I said, you know, there's a lot of kind of closing out finality that's coming over the next couple weeks. You know, we are moving into the beginning of a new zodiac year, moving into Aries season. We're seeing some of the more esoteric planets shift into new signs, which, you know, Saturn brings a new energy. Excuse me, Saturn and Pluto. So it's like saying, like, close this out right, like how you want to show up for yourself in a way, yeah, that caters towards these new beginnings, right? What you actually do want in your life, not what you say, but what you're actually willing to put in the time, energy, and work in order to have. And sometimes that's not about creating new goals, right? It's revamping the ones we already have in play, especially if we've come into some tension or friction. Full moons are awesome for heightening that energy, really exposing clarity on what needs change and adjustment, even if it is a little painful, you know. I feel like when we can look at it as a blessing in disguise, taking the lesson out of versus taking responsibility or letting it play on our self-worth, our value, that stuff just, you know, it doesn't help evolution. It actually just pushes us down and makes us feel small and weak. So I hope that this reading helped, guys. Definitely give big thumbs up if it resonates. Drop comments below. I would love to build and grow the community. Always sending big love and good juju towards whatever you're navigating in life. I know it can be messy. So thank you so much for all the love and the support. Sending it right back your way.